The dangers of coveting. What is coveting? Well, today in the Christian church, who teach a bunch of lies, they teach basically you can't keep the commandments. It's impossible to keep. This is from a Christian website. This website says the command to not covet is the 10th or last of the 10 commandments and is one of the hardest commandments to obey. It is impossible to see this being broken in others because it is hidden in the heart where only Elohim can see it. The 10 commandments can never be kept by anyone except Christ, who kept them perfectly. The 10 commandments were intended to show us what sin is, as Paul said, which is a lie. These people are teaching, once again, like Creflo and all these other lying pastors, that you can't keep the 10 commandments. And by them saying you can't keep the 10 commandments, you can't keep the old commandments, they are basically saying you can do whatever you want to do. You could sleep with animals, you could be homosexuals, you could break the Sabbath, you could worship in all the false gods, because that's in the 10 commandments. These people are of Satan. So they basically believe coveting is just desiring something. And that's not all the way true. Coveting is desiring something, but coveting is when you desire something wrongfully, or when you when you desire something that is somebody else's, okay? That is coveting. When you see something that somebody else has and you want it, okay? And coveting can lead to every sin, because when you covet something that somebody else have, you would do anything to get it. And I have seen this personally. People will kill, steal. You covet your neighbor's wife, they will go commit adultery. It leads to all sins. Israel coveted the other nations, and that's why they went and served their false gods. Okay. That's coveting. And we see coveting, it began way in the beginning, in the Garden of Eden. Let's go to Genesis chapter 3, verse 1 through 7. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yah Elohim had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath Elohim said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim hath said, You shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. And the serpent said unto the woman, You shall not surely die, for Elohim do not know in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. See, so it began right here. Eve wanted the knowledge that Satan tricked Eve into eating his fruit, because she wanted the knowledge of the gods. And right now, you have Satanists that still say they worship, quote unquote, the gods, which are demons, and they give them this knowledge. They give them this hidden knowledge, okay, which they do have knowledge that's evil. You know, they deal with a lot of hidden ancient knowledge, but it's not good knowledge, okay? All knowledge is not good knowledge. And Satan is still tricking people the same way today, because they're coveting. They want what Eve wanted, what, like Satan said, the gods have. You know, man was created. They didn't have that knowledge of good and evil. She wanted to be like, I guess, the Most High. Okay. But she was coveting, and the Most High told her what would happen if she eat this fruit. See, but she was tricked, and she ended up coveting this hidden ancient knowledge and wisdom, And that's why we suffer in the way we suffer today. Verse 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, see that? And the woman saw, she saw it with her eyes, that the tree was good for food. She was coveting. And that it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree to be desired, to make one wise. See? This hidden knowledge that people are searching for today with this new age spiritualism, Satan is tricking them in the same way that he did Eve, because these people are coveting after something that these other people have or had, this ancient knowledge, wisdom. They want to be like the higher ups, which they can't be. We can only become that way once the Most High transforms us to be that way. But they want to get it on their own. She took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. See, and they knew that they were naked. See, but whatever Satan did, this wisdom and knowledge, how he transformed, made us corrupt, that they had a mind state of perversion now. That's why they knew they were naked. Let's go to Exodus chapter 32, verse 1 through 4. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron and said unto him, Up, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what has become of him. So Moses went up to the mountain, and they figured, hey, Moses, we don't know what happened to him. He's not coming. And Aaron, verse 2, and Aaron said unto them, Break off the golden earrings which are in the ears of your wives, of your sons, and of your daughters, and bring them unto me. And all the people brake off the golden earrings which were in their ears, and brought them unto Aaron. And he received them at their hand, and fashioned it with a graven tool, after he had made it a molten calf. And they said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. So they wanted Aaron to make them Egyptian gods. Okay? Because they wanted to be, Israel wanted to be like everybody else, coveting. And that's the same way we are today. Let's go to verse 7 through 11. And Yah said unto Moses, Go, get thee down, for thy people which thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten calf, and have worshipped it, and have sacrificed thereunto, and said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which have brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And Yah said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Now therefore let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and that I may consume them, and I will make of thee a great nation. He wanted to kill all of Israel. He said, I'm going to kill all of them. They too wicked. And I'm going to make a nation out of you, Moses. And Moses, verse 11, and Moses besought Yah, his Elohim, and said, Yah, why do thy wrath wax hot against thy people, which thou hast brought forth out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand? Verse 13 through 14. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, thy servants, to whom thou swearest by thine own self, and said unto them, I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and all this land that I have spoken of will I give unto your seed, and they shall inherit it forever. And Yah repented of the evil which he thought to do unto his people. See, the Most High will never go back on his word. And that's why he said, no, I'm not going to destroy them, because I made a covenant with their righteous ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Okay, he made a covenant with them. He said, I'm not going to break that covenant. But Israel was covetous. They wanted to be like the Egyptians. They wanted what the Egyptians had. They wanted to worship their gods, because these people, these heathens, worship these demons, and they receive power and money even today. And they was coveting after those things. So they end up committing idolatry. That was a sin they end up committing by coveting. You see that? Let's go to Judges chapter 2, verse 8 through 11. And Joshua, the son of Nun, the servant of Yah, died, being 110 years old. And they buried him in the border of his inheritance in Timnath-Heres in the mount of Ephraim, on the north side of the hill Gaash. And also all that generation were gathered unto their fathers. And there arose another generation after them, which knew not Yah, nor yet the works which he had done for Israel. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of Yah and served Baalim. See? So now Joshua and his generation passed. They died, right? So now you have another generation that did not see the works with their own eyes, him splitting the sea and all the miracles he did in the wilderness. So their faith wasn't as strong, and they began to worship false gods and deities. And it makes you think about us today, how far along we are from them. Okay, these people were still living in the times of the patriarch, the ancient times. But us, we are very far removed from them times. So that's why our faith has to be even stronger. We have to pray and seek him. Let's go to verse 14. And the anger of Yah was hot against Israel, and he delivered them into the hands of spoilers that spoiled them, and he sold them into the hands of their enemies round about, so that they could not any longer stand before their enemies. See? So we see the same pattern when we go against the Most High. That's what happens to us. And that's why this is what happened. This is what is happening to us today. Verse 16 through 17. Nevertheless, Yah raised up judges which delivered them out of the hand of those that spoiled them. And yet they would not hearken unto their judges, but they went up a whoring after other gods and bowed themselves unto them. They turned quickly out of the way which their fathers walked in, obeying the commandments of Yah, but they did not so. See? Because Israel covets even today. Even today. They see what the heathen have, they want it. And our people do it today. They will go and spend money that they don't even have to get things that the heathen have. And that's why we're in the conditions we are, worshiping their gods and stuff. Let's go to Judges chapter 3, verse 1 through 11. Now these are the nations which Yah left to prove Israel by them, even as many of Israel had not known all the wars of Canaan, only that the generations of the children of Israel might know, to teach them war, at least such as before knew nothing thereof. See? So now he said, look, since you want to follow them, I got to leave these nations among them. They're going to be a thorn. He's in one of the scriptures. He said they're going to be a thorn in your side. See? And they were, because they was constantly going to war with these nations because they disobeyed the Most High. They could have been in the land probably for a very long time, not even going to war. Their faith probably would have been tested from time to time with the nations, but they was constantly going to war with these nations because they was coveting, following after these nations, serving their God, disobeying the Most High. Okay, and when they was doing that, he said, hey, I'm going to lead these nations around you to teach you war. You're going to fight now. Verse 3, namely, 5 lords of the Philistines and all the Canaanites and the Sidonians and the Hivites that dwelt in Mount Lebanon, from Mount Baal Hermon unto entering in of Hamath. And they were to prove Israel by them, to know whether they would hearken, listen unto the commandments of Yah, which he commanded their fathers by the hand of Moses. See? So he said, I'm going to leave these nations around to test these people to see if they really going to follow me. Okay. And what positions are we in today? Think about it. We in America, Christmas, Easter, we're around all the heathens, and our people still coveting after the heathens and worshiping their days. They want the things the heathen have. They want to do the things the heathens do. Okay. And then our people are Arabic countries, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Iraq, and all these different places. And what are they doing? They followed after them, and now they're a part of Islam, and they're going and kissing rocks, idols, kissing rocks and bowing down to stones at the Mecca. We still doing the same thing today. Same thing. Let's go to verse 5. And the children of Israel dwelt among the Canaanites, Hittites, and Amorites, and Perizzites, and Hivites, and Jebusites. And they took their daughters to be their wives, and gave their daughters to their sons, and served their gods. See? And we still doing the same thing today. This had nothing to do with race. But I'm sure, you know, our ancestors, race played a little part because they wanted their inheritance to go to their people. That's why I don't knock anyone that wants to date within their race. That's not racist at all, no matter what race, what nationality, ethnicity you are, no matter what nation you come from. That is not racist. I respect anyone that wants to date within their own because it's not racist. But the reason he said don't marry these people is because they were worshiping demons and Satan. Verse 7, and the children of Israel did evil in the sight of Yah and forgot Yah their Elohim and served Baalim in the grove. See, that's what they doing today. Therefore, the anger of Yah was hot against Israel, and he sold them into the hand of Shusharan Rish-Hathaim, king of Mesopotamia, and the children of Israel served Shushan Rish-Hathaim 8 years. And when the children of Israel cried unto Yah, Yah raised up a deliverer to the children of Israel, who delivered them, even Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother. And the spirit of Yah came upon him, and he judged Israel and went out to war. And Yah delivered Shushan Rish-Hathaim, king of Mesopotamia, into his hand. And his hand prevailed against Shushan Rish-Hathaim, and the land had rest 40 years. And Othniel, the son of Kenaz, died. See? So he delivered a savior unto them, but they were coveting. They end up committing idolatry, serving demons, doing all these things. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 21. 1 Kings chapter 21, verse 1 through 6. And it came to pass after these things that Naboth the Jezreelite had a vineyard which was in Jezreel, hard by the palace of Ahab, king of Samaria. And Ahab spake unto Naboth, saying, Give me thy vineyard, that I may have it for a garden of herbs, because it is near unto my house, and I will give thee for it a better vineyard than it. Or if it seem good to thee, I will give thee the worth of it in money. And Naboth said to Ahab, Yah forbid me that I should give the inheritance of my fathers unto thee. And Ahab came into his house heavy and displeased because of the word which Naboth the Jezreelite had spoken to him. See? Because he was coveting. He wanted this man garden no matter what. Okay, now, is it anything wrong with going to someone and say, hey, that's a nice, property. Is it for sale? Can I buy it? Once they tell you no, that should be it. But Ahab was coveting. He wanted this man's garden. He didn't care. He didn't care about inheritance or nothing. Let's finish verse 4. For he had said, I will not give thee the inheritance of my fathers. And he laid him down upon his bed and turned away his face and would eat no bread. But Jezebel, his wife, came to him and said unto him, Why is thy spirit so sad that thou eatest no bread? And he said unto her, Because I spake unto Naboth the Jezreelite, and said unto him, Give me thy vineyard for money, or else, if it please thee, I will give thee another vineyard for it. And he answered, I will not give thee my vineyard. Let's go to verse 7 through 10. And Jezebel his wife said unto him, Do thou now govern the kingdom of Israel? Arise and eat bread, and let thine heart be merry. I will give thee the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite. See? So Ahab, he was what you would call today an emasculated man, Because right here, he should have put his foot down and said, no, that's wrong. We're not going to do that. And checked his wife on that. But he let his wife run him. That's the Jezebel spirit. It has nothing to do with being vain and whorish. I guess that plays a part too also. But the Jezebel spirit is, a lot of women have that spirit today. They want to rule over man. That's that spirit. They want to rule over their husbands. And that's why a lot of women are single today. That's another subject. Verse 8. So she wrote letters in Ahab's name and sealed them with his seal, and sent the letters unto the elders and to the nobles that were in his city, dwelling with Naboth. And she wrote in the letter, saying, proclaim a fast and set Naboth on high among the people. See? So now she's bearing false witness. See the sins that coveting is leading to? Verse 10, and set 2 men, sons of Belial, before him, to bear witness against him, saying, thou didst blaspheme Elohim and the king, and then carry him out and stone him that he may die. See? And there came in 2 men, children of Belial, and set before him. And the men of Belial witnessed against him, even against Naboth, in the presence of the people, saying, Naboth did blaspheme Elohim and the king. Then they carried him forth out of the city and stoned him with stones that he died. Then they sent to Jezebel, saying, Naboth is stoned and is dead. See? So coveting led to this man getting murdered too. He broke another commandment, thou shalt not kill. 15, and it came to pass when Jezebel heard that Naboth was stoned and was dead, that Jezebel said to Ahab, arise, take possession of the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite, which he refused to give thee for money, for Naboth is not alive, but dead. And it came to pass when Ahab heard that Naboth was dead, that Ahab rose up to go down to the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite to take possession of it. See? Because Ahab was coveting, and he allowed his wicked wife, who ruled over him, to go and murder this man. He killed this man. That was one sin. And they bear false witness. And they took his land. So they just committed numerous sins. And it all started from coveting. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 1 through 5. And it came to pass, after the years was expired, at the time when the kings go forth to battle, that David sent Joab and his servant with him and all Israel. And they destroyed the children of Ammon and besieged Rabbah. But David tarried still at Jerusalem. And it came to pass in an evening tide that David arose from off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself, and the woman was very beautiful to look upon. And David sent and inquired after the woman. And one said, is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? And David sent messengers and took her. See? So right here, David was coveting. As wise and as strong and as faithful he was, this is, when we read this, we know that we need to be strong in this walk. Because even David and people that were of great faith end up sinning. Because David coveted after this man's wife. When they said, is not this the wife of Uriah the Hittite? David should have instantly said, okay, she's not for me. Okay. Because if you see a woman that you desire to marry, that's not coveting if she does not have a man. But see, he desired a woman that was married, and that's how it was coveting. Okay. So verse 4, and David sent messengers and took her, and she came in unto him, and he lay with her. Ooh, wait a minute. So by him coveting, what did he do? He committed adultery. For she purified from her uncleanness, for she was purified from her uncleanness, and she returned unto her house. And the woman conceived and sent and told David and said, I am with child. Let's go to verse 6 through 18. And David sent to Joab, saying, send me Uriah the Hittite. And Joab sent Uriah to David. And when Uriah was come unto him, David demanded of him how Joab did, and how the people did, and how the war prospered. And David said to Uriah, Go down to thy house and wash thy feet. And Uriah departed out of the king's house, and there followed him a mess of meat from the king. So see, he wanted Uriah to go down and sleep with his wife. He gave him meat and wine and everything. He said, hey, go sleep with your wife. He didn't tell him, but that's what he wanted him to do. Verse 9, but Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all the servants of his master, and went not down to his house. And when they had told David, saying, Uriah went not down unto his house, David said unto Uriah, Camest thou not from thy journey? Why then didst thou not go down unto thine house? And Uriah said unto David, The ark and Israel and Judah abide in the tents, and my master Joab and the servants of my master are encamped in the open field. Shall I then go into mine house to eat and to drink and to lie with my wife? As thou livest, and as thy soul liveth, I will not do this thing. So this man was dedicated. He said, man, they at war right now, and the ark is, abiding in tents. I can't go and lay with my wife, okay? Because this was something that David had his soldiers do. He had them abstain from sex for a certain period of time when they were going to battle, okay? And you see people using these same tactics today. Boxers, they may not have sex a couple months before the fight. A lot of athletes, because any man, can probably tell you that, even myself, I work out and I hit the gym, but sometimes if I lay with my wife before I hit the gym, I don't have as much energy, because that takes a lot of strength from you. So that's why these men did this. They knew these things thousands of years ago. Verse 12, and David said to Uriah, tarry here today also, and tomorrow I will let thee depart. So Uriah abode in Jerusalem that day and the morrow. Verse 13, and when David had called him, he did eat and drink before him, and he made him drunk. And at even he went out to lie on his bed with the servants of his Lord, but went not down to his house. So David even got him drunk and to get him to go down and sleep with his wife, but he still didn't. Verse 14, and it came to pass in the morning that David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it by the hand of Uriah. And he wrote in the letter saying, set ye Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle, and retire ye from him, that he may be smitten and die. See, so David, this man was, by coveting, he ended up committing adultery, and he wanted to hide this. So he wanted Uriah, from what we read, what it seems to be, he wanted Uriah to go sleep with his wife, so Uriah can believe that is his child. You see that? So Uriah could believe that the child that Sheba was pregnant with is his child. See, David got real dirty on this one. So now that didn't work. So what he said, I'm going to set him up so he can die. Okay. So he committed all these sins, but it all began with coveting. Verse 16, and it came to pass when Joab observed the city, that he assigned Uriah unto a place where he knew that valiant men were. And the men of the city went out and fought with Joab. And there fell some of the people of the servants of David, and Uriah the Hittite died also. Then Joab sent and told David all the things concerning the war. Verse 22 through 27. So the messenger went and came and showed David all that Joab had sent him for. And the messenger said unto David, surely the men prevailed against us and came out unto us into the field, and we were upon them even unto the entering of the gate. And the shooters shot from off the wall upon thy servants, and some of the king's servants be dead, and thy servant Uriah the Hittite is dead also. Then David said unto the messenger, thus shalt thou say unto Joab, let not this thing displease thee, for the sword devoureth one as well as another. Make thy battle more strong against the city, and overthrow it, and encourage thou him. And when the wife of Uriah heard that Uriah her husband was dead, she mourned for her husband. And when the mourning was past, David sent and fetched her to his house, and she became his wife and bare him a son. But the thing that David had done displeased Yah. See? And that's when we go back to Yah is not a respecter of persons, because this man Uriah was a Hittite. Some people say, oh, well, he was an Israelite that was considered a Hittite. That don't make any sense, because why wouldn't they just say he was an Israelite or from a certain tribe? He was an actual Hittite, because our ancestors, when they had their land, they had tributaries. They had Canaanites that were working for them. You know, a lot of Canaanites were working. They were like slaves. Like, they was working for free, because a few Canaanites made vows. And in those days, when you made a vow, you had to keep it. And they made a vow that they would basically be slaves. And they end up being slaves forever. They fetch wood and water and all these different things. But you had other nations of people that fought in the wars with us too, because these people sojourned amongst us. Remember, we just read in Judges that they did not kill all of the Canaanites. So the Canaanites dwelt amongst them. They didn't listen to the Most High's commandment. He said, kill all of them. But they didn't do that. So the Canaanites still dwelt amongst the children of Israel. And they fought in the wars. The ones that sojourned in the land, they fought in the wars side by side with our ancestors. Just like Saul, his commander or general was an Edomite. That's a perfect example. So David coveting, he committed adultery. Then he tried to lie to Uriah and cause him to believe the child was his, bearing false witness. And then it eventually led to murder. So here we see coveting can lead you to committing multiple sins. Coveting is very dangerous. Israel worshiped other gods because they was coveting and envious of the enemies and strangers around them, just as today. This is why it's hard for our people to let go of the Gentile traditions and behavior activities, because they covet after these things that the nations around them have. So we must turn to Yah and stop coveting after things that other people have, okay? Be grateful for what you have and work for the things that you want, okay? Long as it's not things that are outside the Most High's will, okay? We have to stop coveting after these wicked nations, wanting and yearning the things that they have, okay? And trying to be like them. We are to be set apart and be holy. They are to look at us and say, these people are holy. We are not to follow after them. Okay, they follow wicked traditions. They follow the traditions of their ancestors. Okay, let's go to Colossians chapter 3, verse 5. Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil, concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry. Let's go to Ephesians chapter 5, verse 5. For this ye know, that no whoremonger, nor unclean person, nor covetous man, who is an idolater, have any inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and of Elohim. So here we see the dangers of coveting. It can lead to many sins. Shalom.